Yeah, so excited to have the band Lula. Guys, thanks for taking the time to sit here and talk with me today. How you guys been?
We've been really good. We're happy to be here. Just been recording and releasing and all the things. So we're excited to be talking to you.
Yeah.
Staying busy.
Yeah, I guess the easiest place to start is, just kind of tell everybody about the music y'all make. How would you describe it?
Man, we come from Southern roots. We grew up listening to Southern gospel, country music, Southern rock and roll, soul. And so our music really is just a reflection of that. We like to say, we've kind of come up with our own term called swamp grass.
Okay.
And it's this combination of, soulful, bluesy instrumentals that and then the grass, you get those harmonies. And so we grew up singing a lot of harmonies together and in churches and just together. But our music is just alternative country. We're definitely country artists. We're proud of it. But we definitely lean more rock and roll, we would say.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
started singing together. Or when we started singing together, we sang a lot of like Civil Wars covers. So kind of that, like you said, that swampy kind of gothic sound is what
Yeah.
we like.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely listening through you guys' music, I could definitely hear the Civil War influence for sure. So I guess maybe for individually for you guys, what this is like my favorite question to ask people because I feel like it's very telling on the music they listen to and play. You mentioned rock and roll and all this stuff. What music was played in your household kind of growing up?
Mine was such a mix of things because I grew up with three brothers that were older than me, and then ended up having two more brothers and a sister. So I'm kind of right in the middle. So it was everything from your classic like country music, Waylon and Johnny and all the things, to No Doubt and Blink 182, and then in middle school like Adele. But I will say that we had like a tent revival every year that we went to, so it was a lot of gospel music that I was around. I grew up in a Methodist church, and there was a lot of those old Red Book hymns, so that was a consistent thing my whole life. But as far as the music I grew up around, I would say it was a little bit of everything, but mostly inspired by Southern roots. And then I ended up finding my own style a little later on. And now I like to listen to more singer songwriter things. I love Jason Isbell and I love the older stuff. I love Aretha, Billie Holiday, those kind of things. What about you?
What about you, Malachi?
Man, I grew up in a pretty conservative household, like Southern Baptist household. My dad was a preacher, and I grew up listening to pretty strictly like gospel music, um, Southern gospel music, and contemporary like Christian music, probably until I was old enough to get my own like music player, like MP3. It was a
Yeah.
knockoff. I don't know what it was called. It was like red and it had this little like scrolly dial in the middle, but it was kind of a cheap attempt at an iPod Nano at the time. It was like the new iPod Nano. There was like it was just like the white block or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But until that point, I was probably I don't know 11 or 12, but no, I was probably 10. I don't know how old I was, but that's whenever I started listening to country music. Like actually, like before that, my parents let me listen to like Motown and soul, and so I instantly gravitated towards that because it was so soulful, and I've just always loved soulful music. So artists like my mom has always loved Percy Sledge, like, when a man loves a woman,
Hmm.
and that's actually the first time we ever met. This is like such a sidebar, but first time we ever met, Logan, I was like just coincidentally singing "When a Man Loves a Woman" like in a karaoke thing whenever I was like 14.
That's like the first time I ever saw him at all. We were like
Right.
13 or 14 years old. He's on stage singing karaoke, and it was Percy Sledge.
Yeah, a bit of a
It's
sidebar,
amazing.
but yeah,
You're
so I
good.
grew up listening to like gospel and soul music, like Motown. I love Sam Cooke and Bill Withers and Donny Hathaway, and just naturally I got my brother's hand-me-downs on his iPod, or
Right.
it
Of
was
course.
country music. It was Alan Jackson and Dierks Bentley, who were actually going on tour with this summer, which is pretty exciting.
Amazing.
It's 90s,
Yeah.
90s, 2000s country.
So you kind of segued for me. Logan, first off, congratulations. You recently got married and you had Malachi as your maid of honor kind of situation, right?
Yeah, I guess it'd be matron of honor, but on the maid of honor proposal, it said maid of honor. So
Love it.
whatever.
I'll take what I can get, man.
Yeah, I hear you. So
Thank you.
can you guys kind of just talk about your friendship? You know, obviously you talked a little bit about where it started, but and how it's kind of just evolved into making music together.
Yeah, like we just said, we met randomly when we were younger, and that was when we were like probably just coming out of middle school or still in middle school. So throughout our high school years, our friends ended up we kind of had the same friend group merged together,
Mhm.
and we were just kind of goofy friends the whole time. Music really wasn't a big part of it. We started singing in church together some, and just stayed really close friends. And then it wasn't until later on, probably like 2017, 2018, when we got back together from just, singing in church or whatever and kind of said, hey, let's sing like a cover together for YouTube.
Yeah.
So that's how the music thing evolved. But for years and years, we were just goofy friends. Like I would, go over to his neighborhood or we would go to a friend's neighborhood and ride longboards and go to the pool and do all those things, bonfires, roll in each other's houses, toilet paper in each other's houses. So that's kind of what it looked like for a long time, until we found a spark with music, which was later on in life.
Yeah, that's amazing. For a friendship to go to roll like that for so long and then just, grow into this thing you guys do together, that's cool, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Thank
you recently got off tour with Elle King, is that right?
you. Yeah.
I think. So how is that, and what do you think, as artists you kind of learned maybe about, just touring in general and maybe the music you make and how it's kind of received?
Uh, we learned so much. I mean, that was like, we had played a lot of dates independently, like whenever we were doing our indie music thing, before we got to Nashville and started working with our management team at Warner and Universal Publishing. So we knew what it was like to play live and had a lot of stage time, but we didn't know what it was like to do an official tour with a successful artist. So we learned so many things just from about connecting with the audience and that those sizes of clubs that we were playing at, which we were playing anywhere from like 1,000 cap room to like 3,000 cap rooms, and it was, I don't know, it was like 25 to 30 shows we did with her, I think.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we just learned so much about going on tour for the first time, and we're fortunate enough to have a van, like a nice like Sprinter van that we travel in, and chasing around the bus, whenever they can drive overnight, and we're just doing the best we can to get there on time because we can't drive overnight, so
Right.
that whole thing that every touring musician knows about, we experienced that for the first time. But maybe you can talk about like just our experience like with the music and stuff.
Yeah. You know, I love Elle King's fans because they're maybe different than we thought that that we would attract, I guess, because that kind of Southern Gothic sound. I guess you kind of look at artists that are similar to you and you look at their fans, and her fans are a lot different and they're incredible. And or I'll speak for myself, I was a little intimidated that we wouldn't live up to those fans' expectations because Elle has such a beautiful, like, pop country sound. She has some pop songs and then she has some grungy country songs, and it's a little different than ours. And her fans welcomed us with open arms, and we had so much fun with them every night. And I feel like I learned a lot even from just watching Elle. I mean, not only is she an incredible artist, an incredible person, and so sweet to us, but she also did it while she was pregnant, and she's a mom of a little boy too. So
Right.
she's like juggling all the things, and she did it gracefully. So we learned a lot about a lot, and she's got the best crew. So we felt like we instantly made friends for life. And you'll seriously never forget like your first real tour like that, because you do learn so much. And yeah, we're excited to do it again this summer. So
Yeah. So obviously you have a tour coming up this summer, and just kind of everything that goes into being an artist today, right? Like, you guys were indie for a little bit, but now you have label support and publishing support. But in the day and age of like social media, right? Like, What do you guys do to handle that balance between like connecting with your fans but still being able to like have time for yourselves and make music, as well?
We're fortunate. We're super fortunate to be a team of two. I mean, we have a large management team and that we, just team in general that we have, and we're thankful for everyone. But it's nice to have two people at the tip of the spear. And so we really count on each other a lot in that way. Like Logan's really, really gifted in like visual art and like seeing videos and creativity and stuff with like how to do that. Cause that was like previously she was a photographer, professional photographer. And so she just has great vision for that as well as just marketing. And, we, we, we lean on each other in that way. And so that's one way we do it, but you can speak more about just like I guess the nuances of.
Yeah, that he hit the nail on the head. I mean, having two of us is really important, and um, he's saying these kind things about me, but I'll throw it right back at him. He knows about so much that I don't, and he had a solo career around our hometown and beyond for a very long time. So he learned a lot about logistics of. He basically was a booking agent for himself in his early 20s. So when we started this thing, he knew how to talk to a venue. He knew how to, get the advances, and he knows how to pack a van full of the gear, like the logistics that you can't do this job without. And I had no idea what I'm doing. So I do feel like I have a hold on our social media and our branding, but he does so much of the work that people don't see that's not shiny and pretty online. So we honestly are just in like a canoe with each other, and we're only rowing if we're both using the paddle. So
Right.
and we also have a really amazing team. I know you mentioned that, we're with a label now, which has been fun and a roller coaster, but our management team and our booking agent holds a lot of weight for us. Even our publishers, people have been sticking out their neck for us ever since we got to town. And we truly can't do it without, the people around us that are in our schedules helping us out. So
Yeah, and
it's a team effort.
yeah, and even more like just even more on that, like that speaks so much to how we balance it, how we keep our head straight, but we just do the best we can to be preemptive with our social media so we're never behind the eight ball. Because what I feel like we kind of live by this is like we never want to be like pushed into situations. We want to be like pulled into situations, like the stuff that we're ready for, And if you're always, if you're keeping the strategy good and you're preparing beforehand, you're kind of always ready for multiple opportunities. And so we try to like, do as much work on social media as we can and put it in our schedules and like really prioritize it versus it being this kind of like afterthought, which really just comes down to intentionality and work ethic. But
Yeah,
Being proactive against reactive in that space matters so much,
absolutely.
right?
exactly.
So you guys have you recently released a new single, right? Running Off the Angels. Can you, talk to me about, what the story behind the song, what went into it, and how you guys kind of feel about it now that it's released?
We're excited that it's released. It's been how long has it been? Almost it feels like a year
Yeah.
since we've kind of put it out. Or
Yeah.
at least showed the world on social media, which is kind of where it all started to flourish. Because all right, I'm getting ahead of myself. So do you want to know like the conception and everything?
Let's hear the whole creative process behind it.
Yeah. We wrote it in October of 2023 with Peyton Porter, and she is actually an artist and songwriter that is from basically our same hometown area.
Oh, nice.
So it made total sense that we wrote something like this because we are cut from the same cloth, literally. But I just had something on my heart, and I'm sure there'll come a day where we share the whole story. But the song is pretty much just my story that we formulated together to be able to relate to not only myself, but Malachi and Peyton and anybody who listens to it. So we just got together, and it was kind of like a therapy session to me. And even, writing the song and releasing it and having people relate to it has also been very much like therapy for me, which I'm super thankful for.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how it was conceptualized, and
Yeah, we wrote it that day, and as I guess probably a year ago, and we kind of sat on it for a bit, and we played it at a couple live shows, and we got great responses from it, and we were like, we always like to put our songs out on social media for people to hear, like give them an early experience, and because why, there's no reason to like hold stuff back, and so we put it out, just a version of us singing to it and playing it at Logan's house, and wait, I think was that the one? Yeah, and it just kind of like over the course of 2 or 3 days just kind of hit a lick and on I think it was I
Instagram
think
first.
was it Instagram first? Okay, so it was Instagram first, and then like we just saw our followers. Like I think we had about 6,000 followers, and I can't remember the time frame, but it was over the course of like 6 months that we went from like 6,000 followers to like 120,000 followers on Instagram, and
Amazing.
it was really all because of the connection that was made through the song, across social media. And it was Instagram, and then that kind of translated to Facebook. And we've had some other things react differently on Facebook that have helped us there, like other songs, like our song Marshall County Man has gotten a lot of attention on Facebook. But yeah, that happened and kind of created this whole like, well, what the heck do we do? Like we don't even have this song recorded yet.
Right.
But it was a good problem to have because it let us know how many people cared about the song and let us be really as intentional as possible with the recording of it. And that's something that we can talk about. We're happy to talk about too, like how we recorded it, if that's interesting at all. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's absolutely interesting. Of course.
so you can tell them like after it kind of went crazy or whatever when we started recording it.
Yeah. So we saw what was happening and we saw the reaction it was getting live, and we didn't play it for a few months because I don't think we put it out on social media till like April of last year. And we wrote it that October before that. So there was a little bit of time where, it is kind of a sensitive song. I mean, it steps on some toes. It definitely has an edge about it. And when you hear the first three words, people are like, "Oh, I don't know," so there was a little bit of a speed bump we had to get over as far as starting to put it out and not really caring what people thought. And it ended up getting that reaction. So we held on to it for a while, and we decided to put out "Don't Call Me" first, and then "Marshall County Man," and then we got in the studio with our producer John Osborne, and we were able to record it and put it out last Friday. So it really, I guess I'll again speak for myself, but I was a little impatient during that time because I was like, oh, we need to record this and put it out. But the truth about a good song is sometimes it takes time and sometimes you have to be intentional. And that's exactly what we had to do, is just take a 30,000-foot look at it and say, okay, we need to be as intentional as possible about this and make, the right steps forward and not just put it out because social media likes it. Because at the end of the day, the world is just like not about social media. It's about making sure that the story is told in the correct way. So that's what we did. And working with John Osborne's been incredible. Him, of course, being in Brothers Osborne it's been such an amazing gift to us to watch somebody in a successful duo do what we're trying to do. So he's been an incredible mentor, but also, of course, an incredible producer for us. So
Yeah, I mean, kudos to you guys for holding on to it, honestly, because I feel like, especially with like social media, like people are very much, rushed for that, like, viral snippet, like you guys kind of said, but being able to feel good about it at the end of the day, I think matters a lot. So release day finally comes. Do you guys, when the song comes out, do you feel anxious about it, or is it more like, a proud parent moment when you kind of get it out to the world?
I mean, I think
you're all proud.
yeah, both. I mean, you're always going to feel a little bit of excited angst, when you release a song, because really ultimately I think Logan says this a lot, but is this Jason Isbell quote, it's yours and it's theirs or whatever?
Maybe it is Jason Isbell.
I don't know. There's a quote going around. If it's yours,
Yes, it is. It's
here's your
Jason.
credit. Jason Isbell. It's something along the lines of like the song, while when you write it, it's for you, and then when you release it, it's for your fans, it's for your audience.
Right.
So, And so there's a little bit of like anxiety, with that, because it's like you don't know how people are going to connect with it and consume it and whatnot. And um, you know, we're uh, we're building our team here, and we want our team to be excited about it and everybody, and it be responded well. So there's some anxiety, but we're so happy and proud to put it out. So
Yeah. Yeah.
mixed emotions, all in the best way.
Yeah.
Right.
Mostly excited though. Uh, and also there's excitement around, yes, like releasing that, but then just knowing that the ball is rolling. Like we
Right.
are
Right.
excited to release more music.
Yeah.
We've been sitting on a list of quite a few songs for a long time, and we want people to hear them. And even though this song is huge for us and we love it and it means a lot, it's just such a small fraction of what we can do and what we have done with what we've written, and we want everybody to hear that because there's so much more story to tell. So we're
Yeah.
excited.
So is that song part of like a larger EP or album that you guys are working on, kind of getting out to the world?
Yeah, working on
Yeah,
it.
we're working on a project. Absolutely working on a project. We can probably say that much, and we hope to, we hope to put out some sort of, full project, whether it's an EP or an album or something like that. This year we hope to.
Amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's amazing, honestly. So you guys have been together, making music together, for quite some time. What do you think the most challenging and the most rewarding part about being just an artist is?
Hmm. Oh gosh.
And the most challenging part about being an artist is probably, for me, probably the schedule. I mean, like it's not the schedule for an artist is not, there's no model for it, so it's like there's really hard to set your expectations going in, and like once you're in there, it's you kind of just gotta either swim or drown, and
Mm.
um it takes a certain level of resilience, but that's probably, the schedule's crazy because it's like especially when you're touring and you're writing and you're filming social media and you're like, talking like tour logistics and like just
Rehearsals and
rehearsals and, all these things, people, they just, it's so much more than just getting in front of a microphone and singing some songs,
hmm
and people don't really notice that. And, but that's probably the hardest part. I don't know. For me anyway, it's like,
Right.
especially like we're both married, to separate people. Um, but it's like uh, balancing a marriage and like prioritizing your time and all that stuff is it's a challenge, and that's why so you see a lot of people break down and lose their lives in the marriage and things they care about just because they get sucked into the beast of the schedule that is being an artist. But I'm gonna stop ranting on that real quick.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, it feels like a very all-consuming career, but I think we both, sometimes I try to detach the word career or job from being an artist because this is just like our lives. I actually saw a
Yeah.
quote this morning that I loved because Ed Sheeran was just on a podcast, and um, he said, you never can have a plan B when something is your dream. Don't ever have a plan B because when things get tough, you're going to always revert to plan B and you won't work hard to make plan A work. And I truly feel like that's our mentality is no matter how hard it gets, this is our plan A. So we just are always running toward, okay, however hard we got to work, however broke we got to be. If we can't pay ourselves for 2 years, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure our band is paid well, that we're fed, and that we are doing this thing because it's our dream. So job and career, I like to detach because this is just my life now. But I agree with him with everything he said about the hardships of it because we're just navigating a new normal for us. And we'll always be doing that. I truly don't think it'll ever get better. I think it will just get easier to accept. But we're ready for anything. Even the hard times are good. And I always like to say the highs are higher and the lows just ain't that bad when you have two people. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we didn't really talk about good stuff.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of
Yeah, I was
good.
just gonna bring it back to it.
yeah.
Basically, everything else is good.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're living our dream, you know. I mean, like me personally, I actually never thought I would do the artist thing. I thought I would just always be a writer, which is something I'll do until the day that I die. But this is something that I've thought about in my life, and I'm sure Logan's, always dreamed about being an artist. But like sometimes it does feel like you're grasping at straws, or like you're reaching for stars you can't reach, but that's like one great thing that we're doing is we're living our dream, and this is something that is like the opportunities we've been given, going on tour with Elle King, having our major label support in publishing and to make our records. This is something that, it's like it's very slim chances, and it's awesome. I mean, we get to do what we love every day and pay our bills and eat, still eat and have a roof over our heads. So
I like
what else could you ask for?
Aretha Franklin said one time, I keep quoting people, but they said, what's the hardest part about what you do? And she like scratched her head and was like, the hardest part about what I do is deciding what to eat for dinner tonight. I never know what to eat for dinner. And I was like, that is exactly the answer we should have. It ain't hard. We're very lucky and we're very, very, very blessed. So there shouldn't be anything hard about it. The hardest part is picking what we eat for dinner.
Amazing. Yeah, I love the Ed Sheeran quote. Perfect. Honestly, needed that this morning. Um, so Malachi, you mentioned, how you always be a writer kind of forever. When you go to write music, is there a certain mood you need to be in to be able to write, you think, or is it you just sit down and kind of, right away?
I think it's different for us every day. I think that the main thing, especially being in Nashville, I don't know how much, you've heard about the writing culture in Nashville, but it's like very collaborative, and you have to be on the same page as the people in the room, and you have to be in the same spirit and energy and have the same goal in mind. And I would say that putting others before yourself whenever you come to a write is the most important thing, because you can't channel that muse no matter what it is, no matter what your muse is, whether it's from a spiritual place or it's from just a creative place or a visual place or an audible place, like whether you're getting inspired from music or from a greater power, from whatever you believe in. If you come to the right and you're open-handed and you're thinking, how can I best serve their abilities, and how can their abilities in this room serve, me and us work together, then I feel like you're always going to write something pretty awesome.
Yeah, amazing. So kind of maybe for both of you here individually, what, in terms of songs you guys have put out, what is the song you're most proud of, and why? Doesn't have to be your most popular one. It could just be one that's, means something really heavy to you.
Oh, so many come to mind. I feel like I was really proud of Runner Off the Angels. There's a few more that I'll mention, but I mean, that's a very heavy story. And for us to come to a place where we agree to put out something that's heavy, and I'm especially thankful and proud because, that song is mostly my story and not Malachi's. And when you're in a duo, like you are seen as one, or at least we try to be. And it was a really proud moment that, he allowed me to have my story so evident in this song and then release it as both of us, which is a reflection on both of us. That was really important to me. And like I said, it was a lot of like trauma that I hadn't been able to deal with until that song. But I'm really proud of Marshall County Man. That was our first write that we wrote with Gary Nichols, which is one of our best friends and our guitar player down in Muscle Shoals. And that was our first write with him, and first time that us as a band went to Muscle Shoals to record. So it was kind of a stamp in time. And we really fought for that song. It took a few days to write it. And we really think that that's the song that kind of got our foot in the door in Nashville. So a lot of times we try to write songs similar, murder ballads and kind of swampy ballads like that, because that's kind of a North Star for us.
Yeah, we were proud of that one for sure. But it's also, I mean, we're we're happy and proud about all these songs we're recording. You know, that's really the luxury of being able to be here in Nashville and just writing and growing our catalog. I mean, we're probably closing in on 200 songs that we've written since we've been here in 2 years, and um, we don't feel like those lost any integrity because of the quantity. It's just when you're here doing what you love, you're excited and you're writing music, and then by the time you get a library like that, you can really funnel in on the stuff that you really want to release. And we have so many that we're excited about, and we're just excited to release them. And we're getting closer and closer to really just putting a bunch of music out, and we're super excited for that.
Yeah, we're like every day we dream about the different kinds of albums because like you said, we've been sitting on a long list of songs, and they
Right.
all are kind of in different buckets. We've got like the kind of swamp grass murder ballad, Civil Wars inspired type of thing. We have the Motown inspired thing. We've written some songs with like Dave Barnes and Caitlin Smith that are in that bucket, very soulful. We've got some that are a little bit slower, some ballads, some piano ballads, a ballad about my grandmother, my nanny. So it's like sometimes we're like, oh, that one's gonna go on the storytelling album, or that one's
Right.
gonna go on the soul album. So
Yeah.
we're just excited to hopefully do all those things, put it out, and
Amazing.
keep writing. So yeah.
Yeah, what a gift to have that many songs just kind of in your back pocket and be able to dream about different albums like that. That's cool, honestly. So I spend a lot of my time on social media as like a music curator, suggesting songs to folks. So my favorite thing to do here is kind of ask y'all a song that you've been kind of obsessed with recently, and kind of why.
Wow. Huh.
I always blank when this question's at. Hold on, let me.
You're good.
I'm a big Jason Isbell fan. I know we've like said that a couple different times. So it's hard to say because my on repeat playlist, like there's always, like High and Dry Radiohead is like always the very top. I listen to that song every day. Champagne Supernova by Oasis is like a top song I listen to all the time. Better Man by Pearl Jam, the guitar and organ version only, is like
Okay.
my guilty pleasure. It's not very guilty though. It's just it's good, and everybody should know that. But True Believer by Jason Isbell is it's on his newest album, and his album is about his divorce and his recent journey through the past couple of years, and it's a very raw him and a guitar album. And
Yeah.
I just saw him live, so I'll say True Believer by Jason Isbell because it's a really heavy song, and you can feel the emotion in it, and it's just great. I'm a big fan of his.
What about you, Malachi?
Man, I listen to so much stuff. Like I listen to just like all kinds of stuff, and I'm really terrible at this question. Like this, and like, what's your favorite movie? Like stuff like that, and like all
Right.
these things. I'm just like, I don't know all of them. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I listen to a lot of older stuff, but I think that there's a lot of great people putting out good stuff right now. I think that Ben Chapman he's a friend of ours, and he's got a really just like great record. Right, he put it out a few months ago, but
So it's
that's one
called
that
Downbeat.
yeah, it's called Downbeat. Ben Chapman, really gifted writer and artist, and yeah, I mean, there's some great people putting some great stuff out right now. I feel like we're in a great
Right.
time for music. I
Yeah.
think that we've heard it, you kind of hear it sometimes, but I feel like it's a good depiction. It's a bit of a renaissance time. I feel like, a little bit. It's not, it's a little bit of a turning point. Like country music it's more accepting around the edges. It doesn't feel so
Yeah.
boxed off to this
Yep.
the same old thing. And yeah, I think Jelly Roll's doing great stuff right now.
We both really like Stephen Wilson Jr.
Wilson Jr.
He's been coming up
Love
in
Stephen
our
Wilson Jr. Yep.
studio sessions. He's a big inspiration for
Yep.
our sounds, and he's killer.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what Stephen Wilson Jr. is doing for sure. That like, I don't know, like Southern rock, Gothic-ish country. It feels like definitely
A little
different
emo.
than what you're. Yeah, yeah, a little bit, but that's
Yeah,
that it hits a certain part of me. I can't help it.
all of
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I think kind of wrapping up a little bit. What's next on the docket for you guys? What do you guys got coming up? And tell us what's going on.
Well, we're recording
Yep.
and we're finishing up. Like we were talking about earlier, we plan to put out a project. Hopefully this year, maybe sometime in the fall. And we're recording and we're rehearsing right now to go on our like summer tour here.
Mm-hmm.
So spring and summer tour. So we have some festivals coming up, and we actually have a headline show in Indiana that we're really excited about. It's at the Belterra Casino. It's on May 17th.
Mm-hmm. We're excited about that because
Florence
it's
and-
like our first big out-of-state headlining show.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really excited, and the Dirks tour is going to be awesome. He's been so sweet, and we are just stoked to be out with his crew. We've got, I don't think we can say it yet, but we have a very, very exciting show that's going to happen on May 23rd. So
yeah,
when
yeah.
does this podcast come out?
It'll be like a week or so, probably week and a half, maybe.
I think we're announcing it in a week.
You just tell them.
We just got asked to make our Grand Ole Opry debut on May 23rd.
Yeah.
That's
So that's like
that's awesome.
the
Congratulations. That's so
highlight
big.
of our week.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. We've been on cloud nine for sure, just because it's such an honor. It's like it kind of feels like you're really a part of Nashville, and it's kind of feels like people say the mother church and stuff like that. It feels like the uniting communal thing in Nashville, and whenever
Yeah.
you make your debut and then continue to play at the Opry, it just you feel not only accepted but supported. So we really respect the Opry and are excited for
Yeah,
that.
amazing.
Yeah.
And even if somehow I finish editing before this, I'll wait for your announcement. I don't want to make it
Yeah,
here.
no, that's fine. That's fine. We went home last week and did a little pop-up show with our hometown, and there was a whole bunch of people there filming us, and we just went ahead and told all them
Yeah,
too. So
absolutely,
whatever.
It's on, it's on the Opry's website.
Yeah,
So-
it's
Okay, got you.
it's kind of common knowledge. We just haven't told our
Haven't
people
officially-
yet, our
got you.
social media.
Yeah,
But,
we haven't announced it yet.
but we're happy that
Amazing.
you know. You should come if you can.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be amazing. I am in small town Pennsylvania, so a little bit of a hike, but that'd be amazing.
Where are you at in Pennsylvania? You should come
So
out to one of
I
these
am-
road shows.
I am in terms of big cities, I'm like closest to Philly, but that's still a hike. I'm like central Pennsylvania, literally nothing near me.
Nice.
But Philly's the closest for sure.
Nice.
Cool.
Cool, man. Yeah,
Um,
we'd love to meet you in person sometime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
come out to a show. We'd love to have you.
Yeah,
We've
I
got
would-
some.
yeah.
I've got a good friend in Doylestown.
Okay, yeah, I know where that's
Pennsylvania.
at.
And there's a show near them somewhere that they're coming to. But anyways, we'll send you the schedule. You should come.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean that was pretty much it. I honestly can't wait to see what kind of music you guys put out and what's next in store for you guys. And thanks for just spending a half hour of time with me today. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Matt. This has been really nice. Thanks.
Yeah, it's been incredible. We love talking about our story because social media only shows a little bit. So this is so fun to dive in. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So